Welcome to the Early Night Show with Anway, Pramanik.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode with your host, Anway Pramanik. It's a cold Bangalore night tonight. There's a wild chill in the air. I say wild because it's not your generic winter chill that you know is coming. It's the kind of chill that takes you quite unexpectedly. At the end of a long day, a cold, misty air sweeps in. It rains. You have your meals. The next thing you know, there's a chill in the air, especially if you have your windows open. I think we can be very grateful to have such weather in Bangalore. In fact, it's the kind of weather where people go out and look for warmth, whether it's a hot meal, a hot shower, maybe even a joint. For all you lovebirds out there, it's the perfect weather to cuddle, I'd say. All you girlfriends out there, I would just say, go to your boyfriend, kiss him on the back of his neck, let him know you love him, even if he's not done anything to deserve your love today. All you boyfriends out there, let your woman know that you're there for her tonight. Go and cuddle her, give her your warmth, your presence. You don't have to do anything else. Let her know you're there for her. That's the warmth that we all look for on a cold, crispy night like this in Bangalore. Anyways, this is just gonna get the romantic in me a little overwhelmed with emotions. But I'm gonna stop and instead share my little anecdote for the day. For the night, rather. In fact, if you're cuddling with your loved one right now, it's the perfect story for both of y'all. I'm not going to talk about love. I'm not going to talk about romance. I'm not going to talk about falling in love. But I'm going to talk about what it is that your soul wants to do when everyone else wants you to do otherwise. This has always been a big thing for me, to remain true to my soul, my purpose, my intent, and not be disillusioned by what others might want from me, might expect from me. This started quite deep, quite early into my teenage years, I would say. The anecdote that I'm going to share with you all today is from my 10th standard board exams. It's from an afternoon when we were giving our computer practicals. Now, just a little bit of exposition before we jump into this and why this story is so important. In 10th standard, I didn't have too many loves in my life. I don't even remember, to be honest. I had a beautiful girlfriend. She was 2 years younger to me. But that was also a short-lived relationship. Apart from that, I don't quite remember what were the loves of my life, what were things I enjoyed doing. I didn't do a lot of the things that I do now, or the things that I've fallen in love with now. Two things I remember, though, that I really enjoyed and really loved. One was doing maths equations, that is your geometry equations, circles, triangles. With a friend of mine, I used to attend math tuitions with him every morning. And another thing was computers, that is your computer language, or at least what they taught in 10th grade. Not computers in the sense I liked computers and technology and hardware, and I would break up computers and see the wiring inside and stuff. That's not what I mean. Rather, I loved what was being taught to me in the computer subject back in school. Even though I may not be doing anything with that today, my career is completely different, my use of skills is very different. What it taught me was, I think, logical thinking, or rather, how do you problem solve on the go, build your solutions based on functions and algorithms that already exist. And while I won't be one of those preachy guys that says that learning computers as a kid taught me some skill sets that I have today, or computer language as a kid, I would definitely say that it may have helped lay the foundation for logical thinking of how I think today. I'm not a very emotional thinker. Yes, I of course react emotionally a lot of times in projects I'm very interested in, curious about. But apart from that, I'm not a very emotionally reactive guy. I tend to be a little logical, approach things with logic. Even if I'm upset, I'm sad. Why is it that I'm upset? Why is it that I'm sad? That's my first question. Anyways, back to computers. I had an amazing teacher who used to teach me, Nirmala ma'am. Shout out to you, Nirmala ma'am. You were amazing. She made computers, or rather computer program and language, very easy for me. I sucked at it when I started in 9th grade. My teacher would remember, Geeta ma'am. You would remember how horrible I was at it. But at the end of it, I was probably one of the best in class, thanks to Nirmala ma'am's coaching, rigorous, intense coaching. I was one of the best in my classes. So I truly enjoyed, or truly was romantically in love with computer language and writing code and building code. And I think for a long time in my career, or as a kid, I'd imagined that's exactly what I'd be building my career in: computer language coding. But then again, life played its own die, and today I am where I am. So where does this short exposition lead me to my 10th grade computer practicals? I still remember there were 2 invigilators in the room, and we probably had, I think we had 2 questions to solve. So it would basically be build a computer program that when you input the first number generates a Fibonacci sequence of the next 20 digits. No matter what number, I can put 1, I can put 20, I can put 30, generate the Fibonacci of the next 21. Or it would be something like generate a computer code that prints a hexagonal design, but say for example, I start with 4, the next 2 digits would be 8 and 16, and the next 3 would be 16 times 2, and then that will be 32, 64, and 128. And then it will be 256, 512, 1024, and so on to 2056. Yeah, 2024, 2058, I think. 48. Yeah, 2048. How do you build a system, something like that? So I really enjoyed those kind of computer code, because it would be a way for me to challenge, how do I get this to happen? How do I solve this problem? Even today, I think the one thing that I want to do in my life, in my later twilight years, is I want to build a business where I help solve people's problems. No matter what it is that I do, I want to help solve people's problems. Because I can break down problems, I can understand what it is that needs to be done, how do you do it, and how do you not do it. There are a lot of times that I downplay my intelligence and I tell people, dude, you know what? I'm not a very intelligent guy. I don't think I have the intelligent capability to do this. But I think that I do have a modicum of intelligence, or rather a modicum of being able to think, break down thoughts, etc. So yeah, back to this computer thing. I think it was a 1.5 hours long computer exam. And the bummer was that each question that was asked was something that we had already rehearsed in our class, right? So, for example, we would solve 100 questions before the exam. It's a high probability that the exam questions would be from one of those 100, two questions from out of those 100 questions. Now, again, from what I can recall, I don't have a very clear memory of this part, but I'm pretty sure that I never really mugged up, or rather learned computer code by heart, in the sense that I would know obviously how these functions would work, like buffered reader BR equals to input output reader, something, I don't even remember it anymore, for loop. I knew how these things would work, and I would always build my code from scratch, no matter what it is. So in my exam also I did the same thing, right? The first question I built from scratch and I got the output. But the problem was it took me a little over an hour to do that. And I have the second second thing still to do, and a little less than an hour left for that. But it was a slightly easier one to do, and I knew I could do it in time. I'm struggling with the compiler giving me syntax error. For those of you who don't know what a syntax error is, when there's something wrong with the logic, it's getting stuck somewhere and telling, hey, I don't know how to proceed further, I don't know how to compute the code that you've written any further. It's quite similar to when you have, like, if you're with your loved one right now, I'm pretty sure you have arguments, and often they do things that you're not able to compile. Your brain is like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Maybe after an argument or two, you realize, okay, this person is like this. You get to know them better. The relationship gets stronger. You build upon it, right? You try to understand, why is the syntax of our relationship not compiling? Try to fix it. Go back. Take 2 steps back. Yeah, maybe this person likes it if I give them their space twice a week, thrice a week. And you give them their space twice a week, thrice a week. Or maybe this person is someone who doesn't like to take the first step all the time, and I should take the first step sometimes. So you take a step back, try to fix your code, come back and execute a relationship again and see where the program gets stuck. Quite similar to, I think, the computer code that we used to write, where you write the code, compile it, try to find, I remember it was a very, very menial error in my for loop logic, which was coinciding with the main function of the code, right? The main code itself was kind of getting redundant because of a for loop that I was running inside, which was making it into an infinity loop of sorts. Anyways, let's not jump into that too much. Now, I remember the external invigilator. Much props to her. I remember her face, very fair, short, curly hair, specs. She was continuously telling me, dude, you know the answer. Just do it the way the textbook has written it. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. This is an exam. I love this subject. I'm going to make sure that I do it the way that I think I want to do it, the way I would write this code. Like, usually all the code in the textbooks would have like 50, 60 lines. I would probably write it in 35, 25, 30. Not to brag, but like I said, I didn't have too many loves in my life at that point of time, and this was one of my biggest loves. I loved computer code. Now, yeah, I remember that it's like the bell has rung, and I'm like, fuck, yeah, I've screwed up this exam. I'm not gonna score very well in the other subjects. This was the only subject I had a high chance of scoring something good. The heartbreak is real, when that happens, when you're like, it doesn't work out in your favor for you. Thankfully for me, I don't know what happened, but that lady, the invigilator, she was on my side. She said, go ahead, write the code, I'll wait for you. I think I took another 1 hour, solved it, got the answer. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to get 30, 40 marks less because of late submission, whatever, So what happened to me, I think then, was the kind of pressure that I put on myself always to outperform myself, try and outperform myself. Like, I'm not saying that I'm a great performer. No, dude. I think I'm one of the laziest people on the planet, which is why I need to continuously keep outperforming myself. Like, one of the people whose life I very much wanted to emulate at one point of time was Anthony Bourdain. I think he said this once, that my daily life is a struggle of me trying to fight my reptilian mind, which just wants to smoke pot the entire day, sit on a couch, eat junk food, and watch TV shows. That's literally all I want to do all day, every day. Like, sit on a couch, smoke weed, eat junk food, watch TV shows. But I can't do that. I can't afford to do that. I wouldn't be doing any of this. Like, I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. This early night wouldn't be happening. You wouldn't be going to sleep listening to my voice if I would have done that, right? So yeah, I kind of was very bummed out about it. But like I said, I just believe sometimes that, the universe does reward you when you true to your soul. Maybe not immediately. Because at that point of time I had a choice, right? What do I do? Should I do what my soul demands, or do I do what the situation demands? Because let me be honest with you, right? If you're in a professional space where you are getting paid by someone to deliver work, at that point of time you have to do what the situation demands. You can't do what your soul demands as much. You can't be like, yeah, I'm going to take another 6 hours on my output, and you have to wait for my 6 hours when the entire brand's campaign is waiting for your content to be executed, right? And everything, the PR team is on the go, the influencer is ready, the actors and celebrities, everyone's waiting for you to just create this one hashtag which they'll use to repurpose, and you're like, no, I need another 6 hours. That's 6 hours of money gone down the drain. At that point of time, if I'm the CEO of the business, if I'm the one fronting that financial loss, then I can stay definitely true to my soul. Or if that's how I set up the boundaries of my workspace, I can definitely do that. But it's a very small sliver that you'll always be able to do that. You have to learn to mold what your soul needs into what the situation demands in certain situations, like when you are indebted, or when you're indebted to someone else, when you are under employment or under contract of someone else, or when you're doing something that includes a big team. You can't be like, at that point of time, you have to know that your soul is pure and true and it wants to do certain things. But you need to know that not everyone is playing the same soul game as you are. Everyone's playing the situation game, right? Which is why it is so difficult for certain people to work in corporate situations, because their soul demands something else, or their soul needs something else, and the situation demands something else entirely. So yeah, it was the time of the board exam results, and I got a 97 out of 100 in my computer practicals. It's one of the best news I've received in my life. I have no idea where, who, what, why made it happen. I think, like I said, staying true to my soul made it probably happen. Like, you quit a job because your soul wants it to. Maybe you lose your house, your mortgage. You need to give up a few things, but then your soul is happier. You're probably living in Goa or Pondicherry now, fitter, have a pretty French girlfriend from Auroville, a house there. You've probably picked up woodcrafting. I'm gonna talk about the 2 days I spent in Auroville, but some other time, probably the next episode, or probably another episode after that. So yeah, the whole point of, or rather, today I just wanted to talk about this story. I think it's been with me for a long time. What do you do when the situation demands something and your soul demands something else? Every day is a struggle of the same, There are very few people who you can be with, who you can only do what your soul demands, or what your soul wants to do. But a majority of the time, you have to do what the situation demands, at least for me. So I think that is what the whole premise of learning how to exist on this planet is you know your soul has a purpose, but you should know how to mold your soul's purpose into what the situation demands. And I think that's where the true mastery of it comes. Like, what would I have done differently if I was to do that computer paper again, while practicing what the gyan that I just gave of knowing how to mold what your soul demands into what the soul needs into what the situation demands? I honestly have no idea. And I think that if I had not done that in that situation, I wouldn't be having the insight or the self-awareness to be able to have this conversation right now. So it's all about moving forward. It's all about moving forward. Anyways, I hope this episode of Early Nights, another episode of an Early Nights, was a little bit entertaining. If you've gone to sleep, then my little child, I wish you good night. I hope you have fantastic sleep. I hope you wake up in the warm embrace of whoever you're with right now, even if that is just yourself. Have a good night. This is your host, Anway Pramanik, signing off.